Yes.
Yeah, could you maybe tell me about the significance and/or use of ava in Hawaiian culture and ceremony?
Sure. Ava, or most people would know it better as kava, which is from another part of the Pacific, called ava here, is a very mild narcotic drink made from a special plant, made from the roots mostly of the plant, and prepared in a way that gives a very awful tasting, muddy sort of liquid that has very peculiar properties. Because if it's prepared in a certain way and allowed to ferment, there can be enough alcohol to get you drunk. That's usually only in the far western Pacific, and where kava is used as a recreational drink. In Hawaii, it was much more ceremonial. There were occasional individuals who would overindulge, and there are special words to describe them, and it was easy to tell who they were, and they were always made fun of if it was a chief or not. Because if you drink too much of this stuff, and too much depends on the individual, one of the first things that starts to happen is you get conjunctivitis, red eyes. That's one of the first signs. If you keep going at it even then, at a certain point, your skin will start to peel. You'll first have scaly, and then you'll have peeling skin. Okay, that's from eating or drinking too much of it. Okay, but some of it is very beneficial. Now I know there's controversy going around today because of certain findings that are very questionable, so it's not as popular as it was. But normally, kava is a perfectly safe drink, and it relaxes the body and sharpens the mind at the same time. And if you don't overindulge, and that means a whole lot, there are no side effects. Okay? So it's just very calming to the mind, calming to the body, and stimulating to the mind. I remember, however, a friend of mine who I think she was in Fiji, where they really love the stuff. And she was in a bar, a kava bar, they have a different name for it, and with some friends and having a wonderful time. And as the evening passed, she was very witty and her mind was brilliant and all of this kind of stuff. And then so when it came time to get up and go home, she couldn't get up and go home. Her mind was perfectly clear. Her body would not respond. Okay? So I guess that's one of the other early signs, had a bit too much of it.
But the questions that they're bringing up about it, then there's no basis for them. There's no
Not if you're drinking the real kava, not an extract that may have other ingredients in it. Okay, if you're drinking the direct kava root prepared, then there are no side effects. Well, other than a strange kind of tingling that feels something like Novocaine on your lips and tongue. Okay, and they have no idea what causes that. When they do the extract, to make the pills and capsules on teas, you don't get that effect. It has to be the direct plant root, and then that affects them. They have not discovered what produces that particular effect. So you could call that a side effect, but it's, it doesn't hurt you.
Is it related to opium or?
Not at all. It's a mild narcotic, is the way it's described.
I had heard that it was actually good to help you commune with God, to talk to God.
Well, now, okay, let's talk about that aspect, because I didn't finish really answering your question. How did the Hawaiians use it? They used it, as I said, primarily in ceremonies. And in some of these ceremonies where it was used, these were ceremonies that might be ceremonies for connection between families, connection between chiefs, connections between people and the gods, which usually meant the chiefs and the priests and the gods. Okay? Because often there'd be a kapu put on the kava so that only the chiefs could have it. So it was used that way because of that calming of the body and the clarifying of the mind. It was felt that they were able to communicate with any part of the world better. Now when they're communicating with the gods in old Hawaiian concept, they're not communicating with the gods that are out of sight. Okay? Not that that would be impossible, but they're talking with the gods who are here and now. For instance, when you look at, if you were an old-time ancient Hawaiian looking at the clouds, you would also know that you are looking at a physical manifestation of Lono. Okay? Lono is not a spirit who lives in the clouds. The clouds themselves are a physical manifestation. The rain, depending on which island you're on, could be a physical manifestation of the pig god Kamapua'a. The lava is Pele. She doesn't live in the lava. The lava is Pele. And the Hawaiian word for lava, spelled with a small p, that's modern stuff, is lava. Pele. Pele is the name for molten lava. Okay? So anyway, the gods are all around us in this old style of thinking. Okay? So, but when you're in a clarified state of mind with your body calm and with no tension, there can be, in their ideas, a direct form of communication with these elements of nature. Okay? Anyway, that was how the thinking behind it.
So doesn't that translate to sort of the same thing? You release the tension by whatever.
Same thing we talked about before. Kava was a way of releasing the tension and improving all kinds of abilities, including psychic abilities.